Hello friends and welcome. Today I'm going to give you a guide on how to play Doom support, soft support. It may get nerfed. I don't think it's broken, but it was picked a decent amount in the major, so maybe it will get nerfed. I don't know. In the meantime, it's pretty fun. I think it's actually pretty good. Not broken, but good. So let's talk about it. Let's go through the abilities and items fairly quickly because it's actually quite straightforward. I think the complicated part is how do I play Doom as a support? And it'll be easier to show you with clips and talk over that rather than try to explain it through here. So level 1, you're going to take Scorched Earth. This is a pretty high damage ability. Actually, level 1, it does 180 damage, but you have to run next to the enemy for 10 seconds. So you're not gonna usually get the full damage out of this ability, but what it's really good for is they go a bit out of position, and then you pop this ability and kind of run them down, auto attack here and there, and they just kind of have to run away from you because otherwise they're gonna take a ton of damage, and so you're getting in this free damage, and then you kind of retreat with this increased bonus move speed. And you can also use it to zone the enemy from the creep wave, just kind of like by standing there, because if they walk in, they're going to start taking damage. So you can use this ability to secure some denies and last hits for your team, as well as get in some harass. So overall, level 1, it's pretty much the best ability. Now, you might take Devour level 1 if the enemy has some kind of summons and they're sending them out, and you're just going to like take it. Super greedy. I don't usually recommend this. It is something you can do. The issue is, once you get a jungle camp creep, it's pretty good because it'll give you an ability, but those don't spawn till 1 minute, and there's no guarantee you find it right away. So you're kind of taking this level 1 ability that doesn't really do anything in the lane until at least 1 minute, which the camps might be blocked, so then you gotta walk far away, all this stuff. So Scorched Earth, a lot more reliable, and then take Devour at level 2 and go find that creep. But at least in the first couple waves, be useful with Scorched Earth. Try to set the tone of the laning stage in your favor. And from here, you're going to max Scorched Earth first. It is just a high damage ability that actually scales quite well. Again, you have to run next to the enemies for a long time to get that full damage, but it's good. It will, along with Devour, be your farming tool, either to shove lanes or farm camps in between stuff. And so on your own, like just scaling up, this is good. In terms of fighting, it's great because it's doing a lot of damage. Like we said, people are going to run away from you, and you just follow them with Scorched Earth with this increased move speed and damage. It's kind of like a Radiance. So very good ability. Max that first. Infernal Blade will take 1 point in at level 4. It does some base burn damage, and this is once per second for 4 seconds. The big part is the max HP, but at the start of the game, people don't really have a lot of max HP, so it's not that useful to level up in most cases until later on in the game. So 1 value point for the stun to cancel channels. Actually, that's kind of it. To cancel channels and just stun people a little longer, 1 point is good enough. Save it for, there's an enemy Crystal Maiden. You know you need to cancel her ult. So just don't use it willy-nilly. Just save it until she uses her ult, then walk up and hit her with the Infernal Blade. You only need 1 value point in that for this. You take Doom at 6. You don't have to be too careful with this. This is one of the first things to switch from the core Doom to support Doom mindset. Just get pickoffs with it. Who cares? You're a support. It's fine. You don't have to look only for core heroes and things like that and be too picky with this ultimate. I make that mistake. It is kind of hard to switch that mindset. So I'm gonna tell you, feel free to use this for pickoffs. Maybe not on the hard support if possible, unless they're like really valuable, like 4 or higher, you know? And of course, if you can get one of the cores, that's great. But try not to just hold on to this for like 10 minutes waiting for like the perfect Doom. Just throw it out. You're a support. It's not that important. Just get a single kill here and there with it to speed your team along. Now from here, you're going to take 2 points in Devour because this will increase the creep max level you can eat, and that will open up all the creeps to you. You're probably going to take the Centaur War Stomp, that AoE stun. That's generally one of the better ones you can get. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But you only need level 3 to get to that point. So after that, you'll probably go back to Infernal Blade after you take this talent. This talent is pretty good, 20 extra Scorched Earth damage. I was already talking about how Scorched Earth does a lot of damage. Let's add a bit more damage to it so that in all these team fights, you are not easy to ignore. Usually it's like, the supports, I don't have to respect them, I'm a core. But if you ignore Doom, you're actually going to start burning through a lot of your health from Infernal Blade and Scorched Earth as he just like runs next to you and you try to ignore him. So Getting extra damage means they have to focus you, and that doesn't feel great either because you're a 4 support. So very good ability in that regard. And because you get farmed pretty quickly, you're going to get a BKB pretty early, sneak peek at the items. So you don't really need the magic resist usually. Now 15, we've been talking a lot about Scorched Earth, so probably don't really have to explain that getting it at a lower cooldown is fantastic for you. Targeting Ancients, kind of nifty, but most of the time, the Ancient abilities are not that great compared to just having Scorched Earth at a lower cooldown. Maybe if the enemy is going like Helm of the Overlord and you think it's really useful, like those creeps have been super annoying, and you just want to like eat them, then I guess it's fine. But for the most part, I would take this just to increase the utility of this, have it up more frequently. Now for level 20, 30 Doom DPS will be pretty good. Just makes your ult actually do quite a lot of damage. I don't mind the Scorched Earth movement speed talent, especially if your team already has a ton of damage, you don't really need more DPS, then this is fine. But for the most part, take the DPS. And then for level 25, Cleave's pretty useless, so take this burn damage. Now, going back to the actual skills, once you hit 3 points in Devour, you don't need to level it up further. So you can actually max Infernal Blade now to get it to a lower cooldown, 4 seconds now, and that's pretty annoying in fights. You just like constantly mini stun people. You might pick up a shard, have a longer mini stun. So getting at this at a lower cooldown, and now the max percent HP damage, you know, if you're a support and you're level 13, that means the cores are probably like level 20 upwards. You know, they have several items at this point, so you're really going to do a lot of damage with this max HP burn. And you'll notice I kind of went over this second point in Doom. This depends on the game. You can take the second point in Doom if you think you need the damage. But the thing is, Doom is really good from the utility aspect, that they can't cast spells and they can't use items. And the fact is that the duration does not change, and neither does the cooldown. The mana cost actually goes up, which might be an issue for you because you may not have intelligence items helping out your mana pool, and spamming Infernal Blade frequently and Scorched Earth at a lower cooldown, like that's actually going to run through your mana pool a little bit. So more mana to use this ultimate, and it will do more damage, and that's cool. But sometimes you don't need that damage. So if you want to skip it and get the Infernal Blade, totally fine. Other games I have seen people pick up the ultimate. Either way, you will then kind of like max it afterwards. Like once you have this, you probably take Doom and then go ahead and grab your ultimate at like 16, 18, or just do like Doom at level 12, max Infernal Blade, and then Devour at 16. You know, you're just like finishing the abilities at some point, whether you take the ult or not. But I kind of like this. I like this order, and actually I might even do Devour first just to get on a lower cooldown, get a little more farm, or not lower cooldown, sorry, but more gold for yourself. For items, starting items, you have some choices. Sometimes if you're just going to grab, like drag the creep waves, you can start boots. This will just help you run along a lot faster. This is really good when you don't really want to lane against the enemy because they're really strong. Maybe there's like a Monkey King carry and I don't know, someone good with a Monkey King carry to let him be aggressive. So you just want to dodge them. You want to go like drag the creep waves, then boots are great. Otherwise, Doom has actually been kind of like buffed in terms of his starting stats, so you can actually like play the lane pretty decently. So something like this is not bad if you want to like block camp because you feel you need to, though Doom in particular as a support does not usually have to do this because you can just eat those creeps, or with Scorched Earth, you're actually really good at contesting small camp pulls, so you don't usually have to block that camp. You might want to have a sentry to unblock your own hard camp, but you can probably pick that up later if you need to. You don't have to start with it. If your offlaner's being greedy, you might want to salve. If you're not doing like a stick, it's like a terrible stick lane, and you want like some movement speed, then a Windlace, which I currently can't find. Oh, here we go. I knew I could do it. A Windlace can be fine. Otherwise, just like general consumables to be more annoying in the laning stage and have some presence there. But if you can, stick is really good because Doom spells are actually all very cheap. If we go back to that, you can see Scorched Earth is 60 mana, up to 90. Infernal Blade's only 40. So stick actually comes with a lot of value on Doom because you only need like 3 charges, and that is 1 spell for you. So picking up an early stick is typically pretty good. I do something like this quite often, and maybe like a sentry or something. And in fact, you can even pick up extra branches and eat them if you need to. Now from there, you're going to go Tranquil Boots and possibly a wand. Depends how good it is for the game, but in general, this will be good. You do have mana issues, so if you can build up charges to save for when you need it, that's great. And then typically you're going to get a blink first item. This will just allow you to make sure you get the Doom off on the right target. And if you pick up the Centaur War Stomp, this is your blink initiation. You will get blink at a pretty fast time because of Devour and because of the farming ability of Scorched Earth. So it's not really that hard for you to get to this item. This is a pretty common core pickup. Alternatively, depending on the draft, you might want drums first or second after the blink dagger. Some games, drums are just great. Some games they're not. So even though I said they're situational, they can completely be a core item. If your team has the right lineup for it, you can even prioritize it first. Great item, but just really depends on the draft. And for the cores, I kind of just want to put something that's generally always good. So blink, great. BKB, also pretty good. You are drawing a lot of attention to yourself. And you do a decent amount of damage, as we already talked about. So getting a BKB makes it harder to kill you, kind of guarantees you get that blink stun, Doom off. And again, you will pretty consistently get to BKB because of Doom's farming mechanics. So not every game requires a BKB. Feel free to skip it for something like something else on here. But in many games, it will be pretty safe to pick up a BKB. Then finally, the Shard, after you get like Blink, BKB, or maybe Drum, something like that, Shard will be pretty good because at this point, the core heroes are starting to get pretty close to 24 or higher on the levels, and so you'll always get the extra stun and damage from this Shard on Infernal Blade. It goes from a 0.6 second stun to a 1.8 second stun, and it's a 4-second cooldown, so that's almost 50% uptime that you can just keep hitting people and stunning them throughout the fight, assuming they're the right level. So if it's a really low level game, you can push the Shard off till later, but as people start approaching that level 24 mark, the Shard will be pretty good. Now, besides that, a lot of these are self-explanatory, so I won't go too far into them, but Wraith Pact has been like the hot new shit lately. So if you want to pick that up and you think it'll be good, that's fine to pick up maybe after the Blink, maybe after BKB. Force Staff is actually pretty good for Doom in the right games because it's general utility. You are a support, so it's not bad to go into something like that. But Doom is countered by Lincoln Spheres, and so it feels bad to have to buy one against a support, but people will do it, and then you can't really Doom them. If you haven't been lucky enough to get a neutral item that pops Lincolns, then you can pick up a Force Staff, which is an instant cast, so you can blink Force Staff, ultimate someone with Lincolns, and there's not too much they can do. It will also help with your mana issues because it gives you 10 intelligence, and again, once Scorched Earth is up, you're usually pretty good, but outside of Scorched Earth, you are a slow hero, so the extra mobility from Force Staff will be generally nice. And then like double refresher for double Doom, double BKB, this is good, or double War Stomp. Mana issues are a bit tough, so before getting Refresher Orb, you probably need to pick up something that gives you more mana. Shiva's Guard, if the enemy has a ton of regen and you're just like jumping into the fight, to mess with that. And then if you really need to get a good initiation, Shadowblade can be another option to like blink Shadowblade, look for the right target to Doom them to start off the fight. We're going to watch Moon Meander first, TSM versus Tundra, playing Doom 4. There's actually a bug right now. He's not using Scorched Earth yet, but he uses it now. The idea being here that it's fine to shove the first wave in. Well, actually, for your pubs, be a little careful about this, but at the higher conceptual level, Night Stalker's a weak laner, and so what he's going to do is he's going to use this ability to kind of shove the lane, kind of get some damage in on the enemy heroes, and then Night Stalker will like secure the range creep, things like that. So now the enemy has to deal with this creep wave, and in the meantime, I don't know why we're not looking at him. Here we go. He's dragging the creep wave. Now, this is something you can do with support Doom. Are you going to do it in your pubs? You probably don't have to. You can play the lane a bit more normally. But because Doom's actually kind of weak without Scorched Earth, and then Night Stalker in general is a weak laner, he's doing this trick. Apply a lot of pressure with a strong ability to start. While it's on cooldown, go drag the creep wave to try to get his Night Stalker some guaranteed CS. So, do I need to show this in a guide? I don't know. It is an option you have for when you're playing Doom support, but you probably won't actually have to do this all that often in your pub games. Upon hitting level 2, Moon Meander is starting to look for the creep he wants. So he's actually going for the bounty rune, didn't quite get it. Scorched Earth, he could run down most supports that Inkswell obviously going to dissuade him in this case. He wants the mana creep, ideally, that's what he's looking for. This one right here, this is useful, this is great, 100 mana burned, but this mana aura is really the big thing. Look how much mana regen he has now. Your cheap spells are fantastic with this aura. So now you can play the lane a lot better just for yourself, but also your allies, or I guess probably just one at this point, will have a lot more mana every time you play in the lane with them. So this is one of the best mana creeps, or sorry, one of the best creeps you can get for the mana. The other creep that's really good is the ice armor, depending on how much right-clicking the enemy does. Ice armor, your ally, yourself. You will probably need to buy a clarity or some kind of mana regen, since without this aura, you will go through mana issues, but that ice armor is very strong in the laning stage. Those are the two main creeps I would recommend you look to grab. This one in particular, this blue Satyr Tormentor, I think is what they're called. The ability is practically free. It's not obviously completely free, but 50 mana and a 18-second cooldown. By the time it's back up, you've pretty much regened all your mana from this mana aura. So here we are looking at this Grimstroke. Here's the mana getting burned off. 100 mana off. You pretty much just force them to use a mango. That's pretty crazy. So it makes them really sad, especially when they have to use spell combos like Grimstroke does. Next time he wants to fight, he has to chew through a ton of mangoes, which is doable, but is expensive, and you're pretty much doing this for free. If you've never played Doom, by the way, just throwing it out there, Devour can be toggled. So right now it is off, so you will not gain new abilities when you use it. So he can eat whatever and he's fine. If you turn this on and it has the glow around it, you will then copy the ability. So you see he eats this creep here, and you pretty much just want to use his ability off cooldown just to get the gold. You also, it's not in this ability description, but you actually gain armor 1 through 4 when you devour things and you are digesting them here. So you pretty much just want it off cooldown whenever you can for both the gold and extra armor. But if you like the ability you have, like this mana aura, make sure you turn it off before casting it. And you can do that by, kind of depends on your settings, either right click this ability with your mouse, double tap it, alt press it. One of those will usually work, depending on whatever settings. And then here's Doom just being useful in these kind of ganks. You just run next to people while you're ganking them. You don't draw tower aggro, but you can if you want, because your armor's pretty solid. You can see here 5 plus 4 from this aura creep, plus the 1 from him devouring something. So if you need to tank the tower, you're not too bad at it this early in the game, but you don't have to. You can let your offlaner do it while you just run next to people with Scorched Earth. Here's another aggressive play, but I actually don't even care about this play. What I want to talk about is the reason you get Tranquil Boots is because of this aura creep. You actually solve a lot of your mana issues, and so then your only issue is health. Now, of course, you may need some other items, for example, a raindrops or a couple of clarities, in case you do spam your abilities a bunch in a like series of fights. But assuming you have your mana issue solved from this aura and a couple clarities, it's just your health, and that's why Tranquil Boots are so good, and that's why you can then just save up for your Blink Dagger, because you need nothing else to stay on the map. And so, for example, there he was really low, but unlike most supports who would have to run home to get more mana or TP home, something like that, he just gets to continue to play super aggressive, very deep, doing some deep wards. He's still very healthy. He can like farm enemy stuff or devour them while he's playing this deep on the map. And you do want to try to do that rather than go to your own map and devour creeps there and farm them with Scorched Earth. You can do that sometimes, but try not to make a habit of it. You want to actually be stealing farm from the enemy side of the map, just because of how easy it is to just randomly devour things. Kind of like if you play Mirana, you want to arrow the enemy creeps rather than your own creeps, because you're stealing farm from the enemy that way. And once you're level 6, feel free to just throw out Doom once you see a good target for it. Obviously, this would be wasteful to Doom this guy, but as the enemy rotates in, you can go ahead and Doom them, pretty much remove all their abilities that make them scary. And yeah, Doom dies here in the end, just barely. He really almost lived, but his team will clean up this necro kill here in a moment. There you go, and you will be perfectly happy with that as a support Doom. Don't forget, it's not just a core Doom who's throwing out this ultimate being really annoying. It's a support Doom, so just throw him out. It'll be fine. Just a little random bonus tip. You can devour these siege creeps, and that is typically great because, as I'm sure you've experienced, usually killing the siege creeps is actually quite slow, but by quickly just devouring a siege camp, you just remove these the enemy's ability to pressure your towers Obviously not completely, but the siege creep is usually what people should play around and pressure your lanes. And so by quickly removing that, you are good to go. You know, for example, if it's in the mid lane and it's safe to do so, you walk up, eat the siege creep, leave, you are fine. You're not going to lose your tower randomly to creeps because you have instantly killed the siege camp. When Doom is down, the ultimate, sorry, just to be clear, this is kind of your chill period. Try to find some time to farm. This is tactical by his team to let him get this farm. It's not the topic of the video to tell you where to farm, I guess, but don't steal your team's farm too often, but do find time to farm up your blink. Devour will help you, but you still need some last hits. Use Scorched Earth to farm a camp or two here and there just to speed up this blink, because you'll be a lot more useful. Your dooms will have a much easier time. For example, dooming this Pango before he gets to do anything, much easier with the blink dagger. There's usually one key target: storm spirits, anti-mages, you know the kind. So this blink and doom plus a Centaur creep, which he might pick up once he has level 3 Devour. You want this blink at a reasonable time. And having said that, when Doom is up, you want to go participate and join in some of these fights. So for example here, he could have doomed that Pango, but he had enough teammates to secure that kill, so he's not going to use it. But now he can just keep going actually because he has Doom. So now they're pinging for more, like let's go look for something because I can, why not? If you don't end up using it because the kills are super easy, then that's fine. But at least try to be active while you have your Doom ability up. For example, they came down here, didn't look good to do, so they backed off and chilled. But I promise you, he's still thinking about it, and actually because he was close to blink, he decided, oh, let me just finish the blink, and now it'll be a lot easier to use this next Doom. Here's what I was talking about earlier, by the way. Many supports would have to kill all these creeps first before the tower is then able to kill the siege camp. Siege creep, I don't know why I keep calling it a camp. Doom, nah, no problem. No tower damage here. Let me just eat it instantly. This is really good. Make sure you don't just randomly devour a creep. Target that siege wagon. And here we can see what this Doom ability is for. There is the Pango. You don't want him rolling around, being very difficult in all these fights. And so he's just going to blink Doom that guy. It looks a little funny because he still kind of got away for a little bit. But here he is, now being killed because he couldn't escape. Can't use his ultimate. Can't use his swashbuckle to escape because he is doomed. And so there you go, a very clean fight because he picked the right target. Now maybe they still win that fight even if he doesn't doom that Pango, but it's going to be a lot harder, and that Pango is probably going to get out alive. And now that Doom is down, here he is chilling again, farming up the BKB. Blink BKB, a really good combo for Doom. So it's like a light switch. When Doom is on, when Doom is up, just go be active, try to be aggressive, look for an excuse to doom something. Once it's on cooldown, just go chill, farm, whatever. You won't see as much coordination in your pubs of like them being aggressive while he's pushing out lanes, but it's kind of what you want to look to do. Push out the dangerous lanes for your team because you have the blink to like get to safety in the trees. Or if your team's all like sitting bottom and someone needs to defend top, you know, you can probably look to do it. As long as Doom is down, you are free to do that kind of thing. And I know it's not easy to find this line, but I do want to just show you guys here, and we're just going to speed up. Just look how much Moon Meander is farming to make sure he gets to his BKB. I don't know, it's hard. Don't overdo this in your games, but also find enough time to hit your item timings because that is what makes Doom support very strong. Combining this Devour bonus gold with this ability to like flash farm camps as a support with Scorched Earth, it's what allows you to just have a lot of impact. And they want to ignore you because you're a support, but they can't ignore you because you are very farmed as a Doom. So I don't know, it's tough to explain that line, but that line exists, and I want you guys to know that, and do your best from there. Now we're looking at Soxa play in the still the same series, Tundra versus TSM. He switches. So in the last game, Moon actually stayed on the Mana Aura pretty much the whole game, and it was a really good game for it. The Mana Aura is already fantastic for Doom, but that game there was also a lot of targets to drain their mana from, and that's good. In this game, Soxa chooses to have War Stomp instead in AoE stun, and you see it's when you pick up the level 3 Devour, when you can get it, blink plus this War Stomp, it'll be pretty good. So for example, you might do something like this, blink into your target, stun them, while they're stunned, you use Doom. And so unless they have some way to dodge the initial stun, there's pretty much no way to prevent themselves from getting doomed right after this. And now this mid Lina is pretty much a useless hero. That is kind of what Doom is good for. And so even though Doom actually does end up dying here against 3 heroes, so is it really that crazy? Support Doom gets the kill. Well, you know, the team gets the kill on the mid Lina. You're very happy with this kind of play. And you just kind of like, you know, blink stun people. You can do it whenever you want. Not whenever, but, you know, the cooldowns kind of line up quite well on these 2 abilities, the blink and the stun. Now, in the team fights, you want to look for the right targets. In this case, when a soulbind comes out, you're going to doom those targets in most cases. I'm sure there are, you know, let's go back to that Pango example. If Pango's popping off, even if the soulbind is on these 2 heroes, you might still want to doom the Pango. But in many cases, you're totally fine just ulting whoever gets soulbound. So blinks in, make sure to get that ability off. That's why the blink's so good. And now that he's gotten the main ability off, he is free to just kind of like run in if he needs to. But you are also a bit of a stun machine now. And so you don't have to just run in and die. Try to like hug the edge of the fight. You kind of saw him doing that, staying at the edge. Then runs in when he can get the stun. He is going to now kind of back away, try to survive long enough. Okay, never mind. Now he's got the inks while he has to go in. But what he would like to do is live long enough. For example, what he's doing now, staying at the edge of the fight, waiting for blink and stun to come back up again. If he were to die after blink stunning, he wouldn't care too much as long as the team can follow up on it. But of course, you prefer not to, you know, get this low so you don't die when you blink stun. But that's sort of what you want to do. After you doom and after you have Scorched Earth on cooldown, you don't just want to continue to run in and die. You want to survive and repeatedly like blink stun on the different targets. Here's a smoke play. He's taking point because he's one of the people who can initiate. Finds the Lina. So another way you can actually initiate is using Infernal Blade. It sort of depends what the enemy has. If Brio is fast, he could actually BKB before this Infernal Blade comes on. But Infernal Blade actually goes just about as fast as War Stomp does. So depending on your target, you can actually initiate with Infernal Blade like so, and then immediately stomp right after that. And there's pretty much nothing the enemy heroes can do. And here you go, chain stun, Lina is dead. That is it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that helps you know how to play Doom. Really, it comes down to have a pretty decent early game, and then once you get Doom, use that as frequently as you can, and then farm up while it's off cooldown so that you hit all your item timings. You will actually be a fairly active hero in the early to mid game, and then as you get to the late game, as our pubs tend to drag out, you actually get pretty farmed, and Doom is originally a core, so you are now a core who played a legitimate support game at the start. Feels great for pubs, so I know I have a lot of fun with this. Hopefully you will as well. Yeah, that's all I got. If you want to check out other hero guides, check out the other support spotlight videos, but otherwise, have a great day. See ya.